Hey, Bubzia here. Today I want to do something a little bit different and actually commentate my recent PB, because I've been grinding a new category in SM64 that has never been really done like this before, and it's called LockCam RTA. There is already a category on the extension leaderboard called Mario Cam RTA, in which you do a 16-star speedrun with only the Mario Cam. So as soon as you enter a stage, you have to hit the camera change, so you are always in Mario Cam. And LockCam RTA does the same kind of thing, but combines it with like blindfolded elements in a sense, because the LockCam is the second camera feature of SM64, which allows you to lock the camera in place and Mario basically runs away from the camera in position. And that creates some very, very interesting and cool strats that have been like never seen before in SM64 after all these years. So to begin the run, we first start completely normal. As you can see in the down left of my input display, I already hold R for the entirety of the time. This route actually involves LBRJs too. It's a faster way. In basement are faster stars basically. But for the LBJ, we also are not allowed to use Mario Cam. It's like the rules that we created so far state that we are not allowed to change the camera, or basically we have to hold the lock cam button for the entirety of the run. We use like a little Mario Cam tick here. We can't do that really, which makes the trick a tiny bit more difficult, but it's still very manageable. And here, entering the first stage, the first thing we need to do is set the stop cam and kill ourselves, because the stage has to be entered with LockCam activated already. So that's why this death is for. And now, as you can see, this is what I mean by a LockCam. The camera stays in place and we basically have to do the level semi-blindfolded, because at some point we just will not be able to see Mario anymore. And we abuse many different kinds of techniques to get around this. As you can see here, I pause buffer extremely a lot. And pause buffering, at least in some stages, allows you to see Mario's position, which, yeah, makes it basically possible. Without pauses, it would probably be quite more difficult than this. But yeah, many movements here are based on setups very similar to Blindfolded, but also based on visual cues, which makes this an extremely interesting combination for me. Because we have like the same setups like in Blindfolded, but also they base on visual like cues. Like here, for example, we pause buffer all the way until we see the shadow on the bridge, and then like try to land there on neutral. One big problem, so the 3 Bowser stages are the most difficult things in this entire run. That's why it's good to have Dark World out of the way right in the beginning, so that's gone. The difficulty is mostly that through the lock cam, the Bowser stage layout is not aligned anymore with the notches, because usually what is good about Bowser stages is that they are like kind of aligned with a parallel camera. But with the lock cam, you cannot just hold straight upright, for example, to align yourself with the stage. It's like an in-between notch, so you have to be like you have to have like a very weird angle on the control stick. Here was the first Bowser fight. The Bowser fights are pretty much normal, besides that the throw is a bit more like not really visible, I would say.
You know, I want this run to be presentable in some way.
But
so yeah, as you can see,
the last Bowser throw in Bowser 3 gets definitely a bit more interesting than this. After this now, we still need to enter the first stage BOB, because actually the Chain Chomp star is one of the fastest we can get in 16 star. So we do the LBJ to grab many more stars in basement and basically skip CCM, otherwise we would have grabbed 3 stars in CCM. But yeah, the new route, this was a very recent route change, which leads to these big time saves here. In BOB, as you can see, we go actually for the difficult trick that also visual speedrunners go for, which is called Bomb Clip. It works a tiny bit different than in visual, of course. We again pause buffer here till a certain frame that we see the bomb actually turning around. and then perform up left hops into the cage, and I got it here very fortunately. It is incredibly, I cannot understate how difficult it is to play with this weird camera, because your depth perception gets like super distorted. Like, for example, grabbing this bomb in this last stage was for me extremely difficult to judge. Is it like in front of me? Is it far away from me? Is it close to me? And these kind of things make this run extremely interesting in my opinion. Next up is Worm's Fortress with many stars actually. We get everything besides reds, hundreds, and cannonless. The first star we get is Shoot into the Wild Blue, which is like the classic easy speedrun star. And this one is basically completely blindfolded. As you can see nothing. So I basically use a very similar setup to what I do blindfolded. I search for the normalized corner, then do a setup with a pause buffered kick into a up left, down right side flip wall kick. And that gets me right into the star. Next up is the boss fight, and for that we actually use pretty much the visual route, I would say. Again, weird camera shenanigans make this whole movement section way more difficult. We use the triple jump dive here to get first onto the red platform and then jump to the king. And now here's something very interesting. In LockCam RTA, wherever you interact with an NPC or a sign or something, like the LockCam gets actually reset to that position where you interact with the object. Like here we talk to the boss character and the lock camera is very close to us. And that we're gonna abuse later on still a lot in this run. Because that mechanic is basically what makes many stars possible that usually would be quite impossible, I would say. The tower star is very similar to the boss. We use the same route to go up there. We jump up the slope here, do the triple jump dive onto the floating platform, and then jump back. And from there it becomes a very difficult kind of, also again really blindfolded side flip wall kick. I use a setup here. I normalize on a certain ledge that you cannot see right now. But then I do a side flip wall kick on a very specific point of this ledge and then get up here. So I really think, in my opinion, this category is extremely cool to see, because SM64 has been around for so many years. It's been like more than 25 years by now, and it has been speedrun since the beginning of time, and so many amazing runners have done amazing things in this game. But still, after all these years, we still find new ways and new exciting ways to play this game. And that's just amazing to me. I don't know. The All-Star, pretty much nothing special here. We just fly there and we can see based on the shadow under the cage where Mario is. So as soon as we see the shadow above the cage, we can just ground pound and get the star for free. Then that's everything we get in the lobby area actually, and now we head to basement.
Hey, we got a run going at least.
That's why we did this whole LBLJ in the beginning. Because now we can go to SSL and grab 2 very quick stars, if they work. To be fair enough, Talon is also one of the harder stars, and I think in this PB I actually miss it once or twice. That was like the biggest time loss. And yeah, what also is interesting, as you can see, castle movement is actually not affected by the locked camera here. That is just because LockCam works like this. It is not possible to hold in the castle.
Oops.
Yes, so this is the Talon star. Here I mess up. I have very big troubles getting up there. And I missed the Talon, and I just do a backup here. So the backup was just getting the pyramid star first. So that actually didn't lose much time. Usually we would have just grabbed this pyramid star later on with 1 triple jump. The problem is, after this triple jump over the slope here, you cannot see your position, so you have to time this double jump here. Oh yeah, I remember what happened. I accidentally jumped into the pyramid, which is not a big problem. It loses like 20 seconds. Just I had to re-enter the stage. So that was quite unfortunate. That is like the biggest mistake in this PB, I think. We lost around 1 minute here at this split, which is very unfortunate, but yeah, it happens.
Yeah, that
The
looks
problem
like
is,
half a minute.
what makes this run so much more difficult than visual is mostly the Bowser stages, so as long as you get good Bowser stages, everything else is kind of like, yeah, it's okay to make mistakes, because it's similar to running a Kaizo hack, I would say. Like, some deaths in the middle are not that bad.
No! Oh my
And what you could see here is I held an upright, not did a long jump, but because of the locked camera behaves very strangely sometimes.
Oh my god.
And
yeah, that's the camera, it does
what
change
happened
the inputs
is
quite a
that
lot.
I long jumped exactly
like
in
what
a
just happened
spot
now, for
where
example.
the locked camera also turned Mario around super
Yeah,
weirdly.
that's a reset.
So I just long jumped into my own death, I guess.
I think
That's also another difficulty of this locked camera. And then here we just fell in once more. But now we should get it just fine, I think. This was also just a very recent reroute, this star, to get it here in front of the pyramid and not with the normal visual method. But here we get the super cool Shy Guy bounce and just slowly glide into the star. This is how it should look like. Yeah, we lost 1 minute here, unfortunately.
I will not reset this.
But it's still very okay. Like, we are still ahead. The run is still going. I was very close to resetting here, actually, because I wanted like a very good run. But I kept thinking that, as I said earlier, the Bowser stages impact so much more than all the single stars that, yeah, it's not really worth resetting at this point if you are still ahead. LLL Reds behaves very similar to the visual route. With the LockCam, it doesn't make it really much harder, to be fair. It kind of aligns the coins very well, actually, which is pretty cool. So this star, very fast, very easy. We also grab the Bully star next, which is the Bully boss in LLL. And that one is a bit more tricky. Fortunately, we grab a 1-up here on the way. It's important to grab 1-up still in this route, I would say, because, yeah, at least for marathon safety and stuff, it would be nice to grab some 1-ups. It's very easy, it's much more easy to die than in visual runs. This bully kill here, we also use the pause buff to determine our position, and then just do the long jumps up here. Again, the camera reset from the interaction of the star spawn. Very, very cool strat. Last star we get in Lethal Avaland is inside the volcano, actually, and that one is very difficult and relies basically fully on the blindfolded strat of this star. You will see what I mean, but first we just enter the volcano, get another safety 1-up. And the thing is, you lock the camera kind of down here at the volcano, and every star that is like vertical, we climb up here, right? Which lets us get us above the camera is kind of scary, because, yeah, we start to not be able to see anymore. And here, this pole grab, for example, is extremely difficult, because you need to time the turn on the pole with, at least I time it with the background music, and then do a double jump onto it. But that was all for LLL. The next stage we do is HMC. And now, if you remember what I said earlier about the interactions and resetting the locked camera, HMC is the prime example of that technique. That makes HMC one of the easiest stages, because every time you interact with a door, the locked cam actually gets reset. So you don't have this whole maze of blindfolded rooms that you have to do here, but every time you enter a room you have like just a tiny sub-problem that you need to solve somehow, which makes this stage extremely enjoyable to run, and one of the easiest stages, honestly, in the entire game for LockCam RTA. So, fun fact, this is the 16-star category, but it has also already been proven that 70-star is possible. There's currently one runner that has finished a run, a good friend of mine, but I also want to do it soon. So I hope we can get this category out there and get a bit more exposure for this. This star here, basically the same as visual. We triple jump, wall kick out of bounds here to land right on the switch, and the LockCam makes everything pretty easier. The only difference at these stars is really that the camera is a tiny bit different always in the beginning of the rooms. 12 stars, that's all good, and now the hardest star in the run. Oh, we got it. No, it's the classic.
Yeah,
It's the classic marathon joke to suspense the viewers with saying that Toadstar is the hardest. You can just get a star for free here if you talk to this guy after 12 stars. So easy peasy. As I said, LockCam doesn't affect the castle movement, so we don't even need to worry about that one. Next star is Amazing Exit, which is again very similar to the Blindfolded strats, not really different. We just need to side flip up here and then do one long jump and we're good. It's a bit scary with holding the direction here. The directions, as I said, analog stick notches get really easily disaligned with the stages with LockCam, which kind of is unfortunate, but I mean, that adds to the challenge, right? That's what makes it fun after all. Last star in HMC that we grab is Watchful Rolling Rocks, and as you can imagine, again, one of the easiest stars of the run. We just long jump up here, and then we need to do a side flip wall kick into the star. This one is kind of like, you need to really feel out where the wall is, so it's a bit tricky at the end there, but nothing too impossible. And now that we have 15 stars, we can grab MIPS and do the famous MIPS clip to skip the star door for Bowser 2. And again, as I said, castle movement is not affected by LockCam, but we are also not allowed to use Mario Cam, which is many players use Mario Cam here to set up the correct position for MIPS. So here you need to actually like watch out a bit. But it works in generally the same way as it should. So here we get a first try MIPS clip, very nice, very beautiful. Second door much easier than the first one, and we're through. Now, DDD is by far the most interesting stage in this entire run. DDD is very big and long, and as you can see, I mean, you will see in a second, no, you won't be able to see anything. That's what I want to say. Because the stage is so big that everything after a while deloads because the camera is too far away. So we see Mario now, like for the last time, and then you can see the sub and everything is not even spawned really. So everything is invisible. And we do this entire star based off audio cues basically. I timed the swims here to perfectly get above water again at a certain position. You can notice that you are above water when your health refills, like right here. Then we need to find the normalized corner that we basically use the same setup as in Blindfolded again, because yeah, we cannot see, and that's what I cannot overstate this. It's like so cool to me that like this is a visual speedrun category with so much usage of blindfolded strategies. It makes it really cool for me. So you cannot see what's going on, but we are close to the switch now. We just press the switch, and now we do a normalized setup with backflips to get onto the sub. And what we need to do from then is, we are on the right side of the sub, we need to go a bit left and then grab the star there. Perfect. Nice. So I think really cool star to look at, especially for people who have never seen this before. This is like so cool. It's such a unique new way to play this game. And then we have Fire Sea. Probably the second most hardest stage in this run. Fire Sea, all the Bowser stages, as I said, very difficult. Here, as you can see, it's very difficult because Mario gets so small in the distance, and starting from the second floor, we will not be able to see anything because Mario is above the ground. So here is the section that's heavily reliant on the pause buffer strat that we used earlier in Dark World also. Like, we'll always pause buffer here because we can see Mario's position, and based on that we need to adjust our analog stick and our jumps. We are going here now over the second platform. Excuse me, I needed to sneeze. So here, for example, this is the most heavy pause buffer part here, getting up this elevator shaft, or however it's called, because we also need to catch a cycle. like here I always do a side flip, but I know in this particular case I noticed that I was a bit too late. I messed up the beginning a bit, so I can't make the cycle anymore. That's why I run the entire way. Usually you could side flip onto the very top directly, but with even more pause buffers I just run up here. It's basically like a slideshow speedrun, which is super cool.
Easy.
And then we are on top here. From here it's a little bit of easier movement until this section right here where we do very scary long jumps. The problem is mostly the health, because you can't really steer Mario too precisely in this camera. So we need to pause buffer right here onto the platform with the heart. And I am very close to dying here actually, but we just barely make it onto the platform, which is nice. And then we can refill our health here. So very cool stuff. Only a bit left. We need to lava bounce now onto the next floor here. And from this point on, it's basically the blindfolded setup again. We do a double jump wall kick that you can't see, ledge wrap there, and do like a few jumps to get into the final exit of this course, which is right here. And the Bowser 2 fight starts. The Bowser 2 fight is also very similar to the visual one, so there's nothing really special to say about this, besides that the camera looks very jank. But yeah, as I said, Bowser stages are extremely difficult, so as long as you get the first try Bowser stage, it's like extremely good.
Commentated, oh my god.
Then after Bowser 2, what's next is the good old BLJs. And BLJs are famous for being run killers and being able to mess you up very easily. It's kind of... The thing is, in BLJs you don't really need the Mario Cam. Some people use Mario Cam as a preference for BLJs, Mario Cam C down, but you can do them just as fine in Lucky to Cam. And because custom movement is not affected by LockCam, it is again pretty much the same as in a visual speedrun. And it's very lucky that it is like this actually, because I am pretty sure that MIPS clip would not be possible if lock camera affected the castle movement. BLJs probably somehow, but yeah, it would just make things much more difficult. So BLJs, the famous backwards long jump, you need to build up speed by long jumping backwards on stairs, and you need to get like catched by the stairs in a very specific way. It's very easy to fail, and many people say it's like random. There is like a specific mash speed that you need. Like here I get it perfectly.
Not too bad.
Third try is very good in my opinion. And we need to do the same thing here in this staircase. This one is a bit easier because it's like an infinite staircase, so you can just continue attempting how long you want. But yeah, BLJs... I had enough speed here, but I cancelled it out too early. I wanted to like do a trick where you directly land in the stage and not just long jump up there, which unfortunately lost me a few seconds right here. But yeah, nothing we can't fix with another few BLJs. And now comes Bowser in the Sky, the very end of the run, and also the most difficult stage by far. So if you thought Fire Sea and Dark World looked difficult, then just wait for this one. So Bowser in the Sky is a completely different level here, because there's everything we've learned so far. There is lots of pause buffering, lots of blindfolded setups needed. There is music cues, audio cues, everything that you can even think of. So first off, here is a very scary double long jump. We barely died here. Not barely didn't die here.
I nearly threw it.
Now what we need to do is get over this wooden platform with a very not centered notch. It's like between down left and down notch. So very precise. We stop here right at the end of this wooden platform to do a double jump kick onto the elevator here. And I unfortunately missed because the cycle was a tiny bit different than I anticipated. Again, the locked camera makes everything so much more difficult to anticipate, because like your entire view and the visuals are so deceiving. But here is a quick backup. I just run back up here and I'm back on track on the bridge. Second try is the charm, as they always say. So here we go again. We are on the elevator, do a backflip up here, and then continue our way onto the next path behind the switch. We use the glitchy kick up animation onto the wall, so we don't need to press the switch. And then do the long jump to skip this whole curve here all the way to this riding elevator. And now it gets very interesting because, as you know, maybe in the visual speedrun there are multiple ways to get to the end. Basically no one uses the long route where you go to the long pole and climb up and then like do the rest of the stage. Either you do something which is called like left side or right side, where you do a triple jump wall kick up there, or as you can see sometimes when I pause here, there is this pole above the triangle platform, and that's actually what I'm also going for here in LockCam RTA. With a very specific pause buffer setup here, we need to get into a really precise position and then mash the A button, mash a side flip into jumps onto the slope, so we get this pole. And here we got it first try, very cool. And then we need another pause buffer to land right here onto this platform. This is actually one of the most difficult jumps, even if it looks like nothing. Like you need to do a very precise turn and then like pause buffer the shadow of Mario right above it. It's very difficult stuff. And here the last elevators, same as in Blindfolded, extremely difficult just because you cannot see. I do a setup here consisting of punches and backflips to make sure I stand right on the edge of the platform, and then I pause buffer to a certain visual frame where the elevator touches one line in the background, and from there I do a backflip uphold, and that gets me perfectly onto this platform. Then here again I pause buffer right into a certain frame where I can jump on the second elevator. And then we did it. Final elevator is done. Now the last scary part, the Goombas on the last platform. They can very easily kill you. As much pause buffering as you want, you can do, but nothing helps you against the Goombas. You can do one dive in this area, and for me it perfectly worked out that I killed them. And now the last thing that we need to do is get into the pipe, which is very scary because the pause buffer doesn't work anymore because it's too far away. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but yes, we got it. The problem is you can't pause buffer there anymore to see your location because it's so far away in the stage that the pause buffer actually doesn't load Mario's model anymore. So you can pause buffer if you want, but you can still not see where you are. So it's a very scary last section here. Now the Bowser fight, we have to hit him 3 times. We use the same setup as in Blindfolded. We go close to the first 2 bombs and wait for him to run into us. We could potentially throw him. The problem is that, yeah, the camera is locked, so we can only see like straight up, and that makes throws extremely difficult. So it's still way more worth to do this setup here that he runs into you. And now the last throw, as you could imagine, same as Blindfolded, Bowser is right in the lock cam, and this throw is blind, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have eyes though, and I can use a pause buffer strat right here. I pause buffer till I have Bowser facing a certain frame, like exactly like this, facing the bomb, and then release, and on frame 1 I have to release. And boom, it worked. What a run. Sub 29 probably. And the 32-minute that is on the splits is the current world record, so yes, this is indeed a big new PB, a big new record, and an extremely, extremely cool category I really love to show off. So that's it. That was LockCam RTA, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you extremely much for watching. I hope my commentary was insightful and you could understand and follow along. This run is very new. I actually only started running this for the first time in the world like a few weeks ago, and then I decided that it's so fun that I actually routed strats for all the individual stages. It all started from like just like a challenge run, you know, like, yeah, I could potentially do it, but look how far we've come. The first run was clocked in at like 1 hour and 28 minutes or something, and now we are here in a sub 30-minute run with consistent and fast strats. It's so cool. There are some mistakes, mostly in SSL in this run, so you can definitely save 1 or 2 more minutes A perfect run of this would probably be like a 25, I would say.
We got the bomb clear.
But yeah,
SSL was
I am for now happy that I have a very good PB like this. Sub 30 was my initial goal. I will definitely go back to this category at some point. I want to try 70-star LockCam RTA too. But mostly my goal for now is that I can submit this run to various kinds of marathons that will come into the future, like GDQ or ESA. And just because I think it's such a unique category and it's such a different kind of thing to see, I think this is a great fit for marathons. On just like the consistency, the novelty of an old game being played in different ways, and also very cool and interesting strats. It's like everything you could wish for a marathon run. So if you like this, definitely try to support getting this run into the marathons. Leave comments if you liked it, leave a like if you want. Okay, this turns out into the normal sellout. I will just stop talking for now. But no, for real, thank you guys so much for watching and for making this category possible. You guys always support me in my streams. I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, hope to see you soon with this category in the future. So yeah, that's it from me. Bye bye. Peace out.
Nice, dude. Nice. I'm happy. Sub 30 was my goal. Sub 30 was my goal, so now I'm kind of like, yeah, cool. Honestly, definitely sub 27 should be possible. Sub 27 should be possible. If you go crazy, sub 26 probably. Nice. What a nice little surprise Saturday stream too. I just was like thinking like, yeah, I have like 2 hours of free time. Should I like I don't know, read a book? Should I freaking waste my time on Twitter on my phone laying in the bed? Which is not bad. Like honestly, it would have also been nice to just calm down a bit. But I decided to stream and do some LockCam RTAs. And here we are. No, honestly, this is exaggerated speech. I just grinded a bit. And especially we also practiced a bit for once, so. Sub 25 if you're pauseless in bottle stages? Probably, yeah. Like if you think about it, everything is very fast besides the buzzer stages currently. Without you, I never was been able to do Blindfolded. Same for me. Thank you guys. You guys are too sweet. Next objective, Blindfolded 0 stars. Dude, that would be sick as hell. Blindfolded 0 stars would be so cool. And yeah, Benedict, tell me about the progress, for sure. So yeah, no DDD attempts now, Andy. DDD attempts, guys, will be next Tuesday. For those who want to know, next Tuesday we will finish SM64 Blindfolded once and for all.